Tommy, thanks for travelling up to come and see us. Not the first time we've met. I've met twice before. Obviously, the first time in a pub in Wickham in 2017. You'd been down to Sunderland to do a demonstration, and you were looking for somewhere quiet. I think it was to come and watch the football. And a mutual friend of ours, Darren, contacted us on Facebook and said, "Is there any quiet pubs in Gateshead for one of my mates to come up and see the match?" So that was the first time we met.
Second time you was best man at my wedding. No, first time was we had a demonstration, and whenever I have a demonstration in a city, for me, I want to get out of that city. But England were playing, I remember, because my cousin was boxing. My little cousin was boxing in Newcastle as well, so I was going to meet my cousin, but we were looking for somewhere that would be out of the way that I could sit and just enjoy the football.
Yeah. So the reason I really wanted to do this interview, and I've chased you really, persistently for the last 18 months to come and sit down and do something with us for my YouTube channel, was really to partly clear my name, because since then my trolls, and I've got quite a few for different reasons, whether it's covering crime, and talking to different villains, or whether it's my own views on football. I was basically, a campaign was led against me using a photograph of me and you from that particular day. Sometimes it's been cropped, and I wanted to clear my name because you and I met like that. It was simply having a mutual acquaintance. I wasn't at a rally. I wasn't coming along to support you. I wasn't standing on the street chanting your name. I knew who you were, but you came and watched a football match with us in a pub. I've been across a table like this, sitting with Ronnie Cray, who walked into a pub in London and shot somebody in cold blood.
But Ronnie Cray doesn't talk about his arm, so he's all right.
So this is the reason I wanted to get you in front of me and have a chat, to clear my name more than anything else, but also to speak to you and ask you a few questions and give people from my area an opportunity to ask you questions which I know you won't shy away from.
I describe all of this as toxic Tommy, because I'm that toxic, and they've made me that toxic. They've purposely made me that toxic. So people are too scared to even be affiliated with me, pictured with me, seen with me. I have so many people come up to me, I really support you, but I have police officers follow me places. I remember going into a restaurant in a toilet, come in, just want to shake your hand. Can't, I'm Beds Police. I have so many people, but we live in an era of fear anyway, where people are fearful of showing their beliefs, saying what they think. I know you're not on many issues. I've been following what's going on Newcastle United FC Twitter feed. But yeah, most people, and I follow what on your Twitter feed, most people think I stand for something I don't. They hate me based on the headline. They believe I want to get rid of all Muslims, all immigrants. I'm against everyone who's not white. They're all lies, total lies. So the people who follow me and who support me are people who actually have listened to me and know what I'm about, rather than judge me on the headline. And I think most people now, if they didn't get woken up by the media's portrayal of me, which helped a lot of my supporters understand the lies they tell, maybe Brexit would have woke them up. But hopefully now they're realising with COVID, the media are not there to report the truth to you. They're not there to give you facts. They're there to destroy people and silence people.
Okay. What I would normally do is I would normally talk to you about where you came from, your upbringing, etc. But this isn't going to be that kind of interview. What I want to do is give those people who put sensible questions on my timeline to me for you. I want to go through them and see what your answers are. Some of them you'll have heard before. Some of them will be worded differently, but will be the same old questions. But I don't think there's anything on there that you'll dodge or you won't want to answer. Sorry. So let's start with this one. This is from Steve. He says, "You continue to canvass donations from followers, yet you've recently declared yourself bankrupt. What has happened to the 1.2 million? Where we got that figure from, I don't know. You can discuss that. You've allegedly benefited from in the form of gifts and donations from supporters," and that's from Steve.
Okay, so Steve, the 1.2 million, where did you get that from? I've heard 2 million, which was from an ex-employee. So all of these allegations are simply that, allegations, okay? Yes, I did canvass donations, and over the years I have canvassed donations, and if people just understand my legal fees, I have given my legal fees and the police is probably in excess of £400,000 I've had to spend, continuously, and it's continuing today. So people understand, the legal case I'm in at the minute, the bill for it currently is in excess of £600,000. How can't I declare myself bankrupt? How can I? And what people don't understand, I've had a lot of people say, but when you come out of jail, you made a video and you said there was in excess of a couple of £100,000. There was. If anyone wants to watch back the video, when I was in prison, people donated to me. Actually, they didn't donate to me. If you watch Ezra Lant's video, he said that this is a donation I'm taking, and anything excess of the money for legal fees is going to Tommy's wife and children. My wife is actually now my ex-wife. This is the first time I've spoke publicly about this. We're divorced. We're separated. I've said a lot of times to people that I've had a lot going on over the last 12 to 24 months, actually 15 years. Yeah, I've had a lot going on that I haven't spoken about publicly. The final straw for my wife, which I'm surprised it took so long, was when activists for the legal case I face now, and all of this sounds unbelievable to people, but everyone will see all of this coming up in my next documentary. Antifa, an Antifa activist was hired by a Muslim lawyer. A Muslim lawyer went and purposely hired an Antifa activist and gave him my children's address. He then sent him to my children's home where they live streamed it and videoed the address. He made a video saying he's going to murder my children. I was out of the country, and that for my wife at that time was, she has to protect the kids and she has to do what she thinks right for the kids. I didn't want a divorce. She divorced me. We separated, but I never spoke about it publicly because I thought the media would jump all over it, and the media would try to get into my ex-wife and try and get stories of my ex-wife. Now, we're still very close, but when people go on about donations, so people can understand, when that happened at my wife's home, because it was my wife's home, when it happened at my wife's home, where my children were, they moved out that night. They never went back to the house.
Yeah.
That house was left empty for 18 months. Now, people would like for my family to have no access and no support, but because they had a support base of people who supported them and donated to them, and who have done over the years, all of that money has not gone to me. That went to my children and my wife. Yeah. My wife then moved out. She had to rent a new house. Now, renting a new house, I don't know how much rental prices are up here, but to rent a 4-bed house where I am is £2,500 a month. That's how much it is to rent a house. That's before you have council tax. And then you've got the mortgage, which my wife's mortgage was £1,400. Then you've got that. And then you've got council tax on that house because it's empty for 18 months. And then she lost £100,000 in the house because anyone buying the house had to be told that this was linked to threats to Tommy Robinson. Yeah? So all of those things, if just in that 18-month period, the cost to my wife would have been for housing the children, giving them security, stability. And so people understand, in that same 18-month period that they're living in a new house, the car gets blown up and set on fire. My wife's car again, yeah, gets blown up and set on fire. At that point, that's my son, sorry. At that point, sorry, son, I'll ring you back, son, yeah? I'll ring you back, mate, yeah? I'm busy. All right, babe? So at that point when our car was set on fire, she fled to Croatia because we were in lockdown.
Okay. And
you couldn't go anywhere. All of these things to do this cost money. Yeah? My family cannot be on a benefit system, claiming benefits. They can't be found because then people can find them. Yeah? I can't either. I'm now 38 years old and I rent a room in an accommodation house with 4 other men who are all divorced. Yeah? But I'm quite... it's like 5 losers living in a house together. But I'm totally fine with that because my wife or ex-wife and the children are okay. And I speak to my children, I see my children every day. But that's where... So when people want about where's the money, where's the donations, people have no idea of the costs that come incurred with what I've done. Yeah? And so people are aware, I used to get a wage. I get a monthly wage. Yeah? That's what I got. I got a monthly wage, and all of the fees and all of the legal fees, I can't pay them. So we've always kept everything separate with me and my ex-wife now. Always been the case. I read lots of stories of he's hid things in her name. No, I haven't. No, it's always been that way. That's been her house. That's her house that she bought with the sales and the proceeds from money that she bought. So
okay, well that answers Bill's question as well.
And the 1.2 million and all of these lies, and you hear that they just get printed in the paper. Oh, £2 million. Where did you get that from?
Okay.
So yeah,
answers Bill's question as well because he was wanting to know about do you think your wife has links with politics or does she act as a director to hold money? She's not your wife anymore.
No, she's not. She's not my wife. She's not political at all. So for her, I think for her staying with me at that time from when all this blew up, she had certain conditions.
Yeah.
And she wanted to just protect the children. She's not interested in politics. She doesn't care about politics. She just wants safety for the kids. And remember that she has to now. So from us getting divorced, which is where we had this big argument and fallout, is from us getting divorced. She's like, I've forever, for the rest of my kid's life, got a security issue.
Yeah.
Because of you, not because of me. And she's right. I can't argue. No, you have, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the divorce. Not a nice thing for anybody to go through. Okay. Next question comes from Peter. He says, you've said numerous times that you want British Muslims to integrate, follow the law, but you seem incapable of doing the same. He says, using violence and having served prison time, it sounds like double standards. What's your answer to that, to Pete?
My answer is, my main points are, I want people to stop raping kids. Yeah? We're in Newcastle, okay? You have a 1% British Muslim population in your city. Yeah? That 1% accounts to what? If you've got 280,000 people, is that the population of Newcastle? Am I right? Well,
I need to check the...
Okay,
well, I'm not sure.
1% of this city, you had 700 victims, I believe, in the West End over a 4-year period.
Okay.
You had 18 men convicted. Those men come from Pakistan, Bangladesh, they were Kurdish, they were Iranian, common theme, yeah? Mm-hmm. From that 1%, you have to understand, and so people who don't get me, who might live in this city, I'm from Luton Town, that's 40%. Yeah? People in Luton get what I'm talking about. People in Batley, we've all seen what's going on there this week, they get what I'm talking about. I'm not on about just a little bit of breaking the law, as in, someone might have had a fight or someone might have done this. I'm on about implementation of Sharia law. I'm on about raping women and justifying it. For example, in the case in Newcastle that come out in the papers, was one of the men said all white women are good for is rape. Yeah? They hung their country's flag over the women whilst raping them. This is in this city. Yeah? This isn't me making it up. This has come out in the court documents. And then the other case collapsed, I believe. And loads of men have walked free. Those men are still walking around the city. That's what I talk about. So if we're on about me as a person, I don't claim to be sitting there polishing my halo. I have had problems growing up. I'm from a working class community. I'm from one of the roughest towns in the UK. And I had a street upbringing. And yeah, I don't claim, if someone comes up to me and wants to assault me, I'll hit the mag. And many of the times over the year, I have, if you look at my criminal record that people go on about, I had one conviction, yeah, up until the formation of the English Defence League. I started the English Defence League in 2009, and then I've just been inundated with arrest after arrest after arrest after arrest after arrest. I think Alex Belfield, he's now experiencing the same. He's had 5 raids, isn't he? He's a journalist who speaks out against BNP. No one can say that he's a violent man, right? But he has had the same tactics thrown against him. So I don't claim to be perfect, and when people talk about British Muslims, I've grown up in Luton Town, so some of the best people I've met in my upbringing are Muslim. Yeah? If people want to dig up my speech that I gave in Newcastle at the height of the English Defence League, this is for my detractors in this city who I've been reading comments from. Lee Rigby was beheaded. I'm giving a speech at what people would call the biggest far-right...
Was it 2011?
2011. Lee Rigby is beheaded. We have 10,000 people in Newcastle City Centre. I started my speech by saying, if you scream, abuse, spit or swear at a Muslim woman, you are a scumbag and you are a coward, yeah? I went on to tell people there's 800 British Muslims serving in our armed forces who are doing a hell of a lot more for this country than me, yeah? And any one of us in this crowd, okay? And each time I said this, there was a raise in applauses, okay? So get out of your head that me or many of my supporters just hate Muslims, okay? I don't. I think Muslims are the biggest victims of Islam, okay? I want to see them all free. I want to see everyone experience the freedom that we should have in British society. I want to see everyone, but this idea that I just hate Muslims, or, as I said, growing up in Luton Town, some of the best people I've met in my life are Muslim lads. Some of the best people, some of my dearest friends as kids were Muslims. That shouldn't detract me from telling the truth about Islam. It's like someone can have, your best friend can be Christians, but you might not like Christianity. You might want to look at the Bible and have a say about it. That's all I want to do. I want to pick fault and speak about the real problems that are promoted in this book that are then equivalent to the terrorism we see, the jihad we see, the murder we see, the rape we see, whether it be people demanding teachers are beheaded because they've shown a picture. All of these things we must be free to talk about. And unfortunately we're not. And most people don't feel free to talk about it.
Pete's follow-up question to that then is, you've preached many times you've never threatened violence on the Muslim community, and he's pointing back to 2011. So he says...
You get one speech where you said...
Yeah, this is it.
Let me quote. Every Muslim watching this, every Muslim listen... I can quote word for word.
Yeah, cool.
Every Muslim watching this, listen here, you got away with killing on 7/7. Is that...
But you better understand, we built a network from...
We built a network from one end of the country to the other.
Yep.
So
we'll not tolerate it. The
Asylum
community will feel the full force of the English Defence League if we see any of our citizens killed or hurt on British soil. And he says that sure sounds like threatening violence to us.
Do you know why I could quote that?
Yeah.
Because that's the only one thing anyone out of 120 demonstrations and speeches, out of every single media network in the world trying to find some hate, some digging on me, that's the one thing I said. Now, so people understand, I started the English Defence League when I was 25 years old. I was working on a building site, and 6 months later I was leading the biggest street protest movement Europe's seen. Yeah. And I grew with it and built with it. And I felt our organisation's purpose was to put pressure on the Islamic community. That's what I felt. We were a pressure organisation. We wanted to put pressure on them, deal with these men, deal with the rapists, deal with the grooming gangs, and deal with the terrorists. So I felt I was putting pressure. I've held my hands up about that speech. It's not worded best, and it was a mistake to say that. I've said that. And but at that time, we were a pressure movement. I wanted to put pressure on the Islamic community. I wanted to put pressure on everyone to say, sort it out. Sort it out. We've got dead bodies everywhere. And it's continued. We've got children being raped everywhere in every town and city. And they needed some pressure. And I felt that our organisation was to put pressure. And it got to a point, I think, come 2014, where I sort of challenged myself in my views of, does it benefit to be walking through the streets in our thousands in these manners? Has it had its life of doing that? Yeah, I think it had. To shift the debate, to ever be taken seriously, to ever have people listening, and to not really... We were making a lot of the moderate Muslims, I'd say, get behind the radical Muslims and giving them something to come together for, because they felt like they were under attack. They felt like their whole community was under attack. So,
okay. Going back to that exact demo, T on Twitter, he said the EDL regional organiser Alan Spence was filmed at a demo in Newcastle, telling the crowd to send people of a certain race and colour home.
He wasn't.
He said those supporters all cheered. You were standing next to him and said nothing as the crowd cheered.
Okay.
Why didn't you say anything? And would it not been? Is it because it wouldn't have been fitting to an image you were portraying to your financial supporters?
No, Alan Spence didn't say that, never.
Okay.
So that's not true. Alan Spence didn't say that. And when we got onto donations, I never even had a donation link until 2015. Yeah? Until I then started journalism. So the entire time through the English Defence League, and this is just speaking truthfully, there wasn't wages for people. Okay, I was on a financial restraint for 4 years. For my first 4 years of activism, I didn't even have a bank account that I was allowed to take money. Right, I then ended up in jail. The order I was under for 4 years, I was not allowed to spend more than £250 a week, or I break my order. And for breaking that order, I was on an order that terrorists are on for the first 4 years. Okay, the activism and everything was purely that. In 2015, when I come out of jail, I was offered a job with Rebel Media. I then sat down, had the discussion with my then wife about it, in which she agreed I could do it under certain conditions. And that's when I became a journalist, and I started using things to hide it. And then at the same time, to do any of that, you need support. People about donations, like you have to have a team, you have to run around the country, you have to pay for flights, you have to pay for accommodation, you have to pay for petrol, you have to pay for all of these things, which gives you ability to put videos out and change people's opinions.
T's got another couple of questions. Let's go with them. He said, what are the links with US tech billionaire Robert Shulman? He says, who allegedly financed a fellowship that helped pay for you to be employed in 2017 by a right-wing Canadian media website, the Rebel Media. He said on a salary of about $5,000 a month.
Yep, Sam. Yeah, he's right about a lot of it. I was given a job on £5,000 a month from Rebel Media. Now, that £5,000 a month was for me, and then I had a camera person with me. But the tech billionaire, Robert Shulman, I've never met, never spoke to, never had any contact with, and never had any money off. Fact. You know? Forget what you're reading in the paper. Right? If I had, it would at some point come out. I never have. Robert Shulman, from what I understand, was a funder of Rebel Media. Rebel Media were a news network with maybe 20 or 30 employees in Canada. They were the fastest growing media network in Canada. I just got a job And it says Shillman Fellow, and that's because I believe Robert Shillman gave Rebel Media money. That's something they'd have to speak to. I've never had a penny of them. So I read all these things thinking tech billionaires and all this, I think, well, give me some money then. You know? Seriously, when I'm sitting there, I think, I'll take your money, give me some money to help me out. Give me some money. I've appealed for people to fund certain fights, but yeah, I've never met Robert Shillman, never spoke to Robert Shillman, never had a penny direct to me off of Robert Shillman. But I did get a wage. I was on £5,000 a month as a journalist. During that year, if you go back and watch the videos I made, I was not at home. Yeah, I was travelling everywhere. I worked every hour under the sun. I was running everywhere with a camera, throwing myself in harm's way. People think, £5,000 a month. I think down our way, on a building site, you're getting £200 a day on a building site. So I was earning the same as them, but they haven't got people want to chop their heads off or blow their cars up or target their families. So when people talk a bit like that, I think go and stop a BBC journalist in the street and ask them what they earn. Yeah? I'm far more worth my money than them.
Okay, T's last question. Who initially funded the EDL? He says you claim to be the voice of the working class, but isn't it true that your ex-organisation was founded in a £500,000 Barbican flat backed by a city investment fund manager? He also says, who reached out to who? Brilliant. He said, who was behind a football hooligan who loved a pint and a fight and a bit of footy? And how do you get in contact with people with that kind of power?
I'll tell you. So, I've started the English Defence League. 6 months in, we received this contact saying, will we come to a meet? And we went to the meet. Me, my cousin, and my other cousin. We went to a meet, it was in London. And we went to this meet in this flat. And this bloke had about five what's it called, degrees. One bloke had 5 degrees, one bloke was an expert in all these different Roman fighting things. The other, and I was sitting there thinking, who the hell are these people? Yeah? And I'm sitting and meeting them, and when they're on about, the fella they're on about is Alan Lake. You know? That's who they're talking about. Who give us £300 for a PA system. And I swear to God, and wanted the £300 back. So when I read all these things, I think, yeah, okay, he did live in Barbican. Yeah? Okay, he did have a good job. But because he had a good job and he dressed a different way, that automatically meant to everyone who thinks working class people are thick and stupid that he's the financer and the brains. Yeah? No one's ever been the brains or string puller of me. I've done whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want. There ain't no one that can tell me what to do, because Ezra Levant tried it when he was my Rebel Media boss and it didn't work out too well, which is why I left. Yeah? So there's never been, at that time in English Defence League, we sold a few hoodies and jumpers. You might have made £5 on each one, yeah, which might have amounted to £500 a week that come in. Yeah, that's it. So the whole myth that who were these people that directed the English Defence League is simply that. It's a myth, and it's a myth that makes people want to. People looked and said, I saw Nick Griffin saying it. They must be security services. At first, we were all working for the government and we're security services trying to bring in martial law funded by the Jews, yeah? Some mad crap like that anyway. And they couldn't take that there was enough emotion and feeling in the country that a group of working class kids from Luton could all of a sudden band together, brothers across the whole nation, yeah, in every town and city, could form an organisation that would build like this and would become such a numbers within 18 months. People just couldn't get around their head. And I couldn't get around my head how we done it, yeah? But we done it because the problems were in every town and city. We done it because what we realised is all the problems I've experienced in Luton, all whether it be terrorism, whether it be violence, whether it be extremism, whether it be two-tier policing, whether it be the policing that just saw hundreds of Muslims going outside the school in Batley and demand the teacher's resignation, demand plus a lot more. He's now put in protective custody, and the police stood there next to them, bowing their heads like this, yeah? But yet, people want to march in Bradford over coronavirus and they get beat up with police bands, yeah? That policing, that level of policing that shows one community can do what they want, whether it be the policing of Black Lives Matter compared to the policing of everyone else, yeah? That is what people like me in Luton have seen our whole life. Right? As a white working class lad, actually, that's unfair. As we see a different form of policing against non-Muslims, yeah, in Luton. We see the one Pakistani community treated with kid gloves, and we, whites and blacks, are treated with iron fists. And we've seen that. But I didn't realise, when I started the English Defence League, just how the feeling of just exploded. Because everyone's felt silenced, everyone felt oppressed, everyone felt crushed, everyone could see all these problems. There's no one that can look at our country, look at it 10 years ago or 20 years ago and say, we've gone in a better place and it's getting better. better. You just have to look around and think, well, freedoms are disappearing. There's more terrorism, 60% extra terrorism arrests every year. We've seen ISIS, we've seen whether it be the Ariana Grande concert, whether it's be leaving. We've all seen this coming, yeah? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And people were feeling it. And that's why it exploded the way it did. It didn't explode because I'd done anything magnificent. It didn't explode because of anything else. I realised it exploded because I become a valve. I opened it up and boom, there it was. And then I done my best. People have to understand from my point of view, I done my best to manage that. Yeah? I was just a young lad. As I said, some people said there, a little lad who like a beer and a fight. And the next minute, I'm in charge of a mass movement. And where do I direct that? What do I do with that? Anyone who's actually took the time to watch my Oxford Union and speech at Oxford University would see what I tried to do and what I've done, rather than listen to the headlines. Don't believe the lies about it. Just I've done everything I could to point that movement in the right direction.
Okay, Bill from Newcastle says, did your links with Steve Bannon and US funding come with obligations, and have you been used and discarded? That's from Bill in Newcastle.
Bill, I've never had no funding of Steve Bannon or US. I've never had it. So even when we get to people talk about the Middle East Forum, the Middle East Forum funded for some demonstrations whilst I was in prison. Money didn't go to me again. Yeah? They funded demonstrations whilst I was in jail. They supported demonstrations whilst I was in jail. They never funded me. I've never had no money. That's the truth. And it would all come out if I had. Yeah, I haven't. So all of these things are little things that, like, there's been links because Middle East Forum did fund demonstrations. Yeah, but then people say, oh, they pay for everything. They pay for all this. No, they didn't. They didn't. They generally didn't. So no, it didn't come with obligations because, again, no one gave me obligations. And I haven't had any money off Steve Bannon. I think Steve Bannon's brilliant. I think he's a genius. I admire him for what he's done, for the work he does, but I've never had that relationship with them at all.
Okay. Steve's got two questions. He says, are you a well-paid stooge, a political gun for hire, willing to take anyone's money to keep you in the lifestyle you and your family have become accustomed to? Or do you do this with the backing of the security agency, MI5, and report back to them?
It's nuts. It's totally nuts. It's totally nuts. You know what I mean? No, I don't get... If I was working for MI5, I'm pretty shit at my job, because I keep just landing in prison, or I keep getting hassles. If I was working for them, and I speak in my book, where I spoke in my book about Metropolitan Intelligence Bureau, who tried to recruit me when I was in jail in Winchester Prison. They tried to recruit me. They wanted me to re-lead the EDL. So, no. Sorry, mate. I don't. So, I don't work for anyone.
Okay, he's got a part two, and that was, we know you received the support of Special Branch, as we have witnessed them protecting you in an incident in a city centre pub, doesn't say which city centre pub, where you threw beer over someone, and that victim was warned off from seeking retribution by individuals who identified themselves as such. Is it true, therefore, that you pay for this protection by feeding back to your authorities information on the people you mix with?
Who's he on about? Which city centre pub?
I don't know.
No.
It doesn't say.
I threw beer on someone in the city centre pub. It's not that fellow I threw beer on in Newcastle.
Well, you did. It might be. I don't know. I mean, yeah, you came to Newcastle for the Luton Town game in the FA Cup a few years back. We saw each other then. You were followed by police on that day, and you had an altercation with a fan.
Yeah, a fan who come up to me and gave me abuse.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm followed by police everywhere I go. I think you witnessed that at the time we met, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere I went.
I've seen it with major criminals. I've seen it with criminals who I've done books with, who I've worked with, who I've done documentaries with. And
to be honest, I find it very insulting. If anyone knows the harassment and what they've done, as in the security services and the police, to my family, yeah, and what they've done over the years, I just find it totally insulting that some clowns can think they can just sit on a computer, say, oh, you work for MI5, oh, you do this, you do that. For what fucking benefit? For what benefit am I getting from that? Do you know what I mean? I just think
Okay, that's fine. You've answered the question.
But again, if he is on about the fella he's on about, the fella who come up and give me a load of shit, and yeah, he did get a drink in his face.
Okay.
It should have been a punch in his face, to be honest. He's the one who come up to me aggressively in that manner. But if he's on about that fella, and by the way, if it was your friend, his arse totally went. Because then I said, get outside. You were there.
I was there.
His arse went. Yeah.
You were surrounded by police as well outside. The police were outside. You did, you were with a lot of Luton Town fans. As I say, you were there for the game. Your self-styled image of a far-right populist underdog whose anti-Islam agenda is silenced by the British establishment is fake, is it not? In reality, are you a patsy who gets well paid by far-right organisations to spread rhetoric about broad selections of your community, of our community, simply to cause hatred and division? Again, that's from Steve in Newcastle.
Again, I started my activism, Steve, in 2009. Yeah, just this whole myth. The 2 million figure, all these figures and all of this stuff from funding comes from a Guardian article. Now, any one of you know the Guardian lie, but all of a sudden people want to think, oh, we believe in that. Yeah? There's not a single piece of evidence about any of the things you're saying, any of it at all. Just allegations, which is easy to smear people. And I receive it all the time. If I didn't have thick skin, after some of the stuff that's been said about me in the last 3 months, Jesus. But I walk around and I'm happy, and I think I stopped. I went to the services and had 5 different people shake my hand and tell me to carry on doing the work I'm doing. So,
okay.
These little Steves from Twitter.
Terry says, "Hi Steve. Tommy's a family man like yourself. He says, could you ask him what his motivation is now?" He said, and he's talking about a situation I went through. He says, "I know a troll came to your house where your daughters live. His kids are also in danger with people giving out his address. What drives him on that's more important than his family safety?"
Yeah, difficult one, because it's all changed a lot as well. Because my children were young, so everything I did didn't have an effect really. It does now. So I've had some difficult times last. Jesus, Black Lives Matter. I spoke out against Black Lives Matter.
Why did you do that?
Why did I do that?
Yeah, and we'll come back to Terry's question.
No, that's fine.
Important one.
Yeah,
why did you do
because
that?
I know what Black Lives Matter is. Some people think it just appeared this year after George Floyd. I've been watching it for 10 years. Yeah, I know who's behind it. I know, for example, go on Black Lives Matter, go on their website, look at their first main goals: to destroy capitalism. What's that got to do with Black Lives? Nothing. To break down the nucleus of the family. They don't want you having a mum and a dad, which is partly a lot of the problem why so many blacks are in poverty, because they don't have dads. Yeah, their dads are gone. Okay, and that's all been encouraged through Planned Parenthood, and all these Marxist ideas, all these far left ideas, have destroyed the family, and they want to destroy the family. And it's on Black Lives Matter website to destroy the family. They're pro LGBTQ plus whatever. Yeah. Which is then going to end up being pro-paedophilia eventually with all the way it's going. So I know that the average black man, that's not to do with them, yeah, or black woman, but that's what the organisation is, because the organisation is a Marxist organisation, founded by liberal lesbian Marxists, and they want to destroy the family. And I don't. So I have a real problem with Black Lives Matter. And I have a problem with what happened and the way it was happening in this country, and the attack on what I felt was our country and our culture and our history, and I spoke out against it. And you know what, it was the biggest problem I've had, and that's just, do you know what I realised? I realised actually some Muslims take criticism of their religion pretty well, yeah, because in general people need to realise that you might see a couple of videos of Muslims giving me grief, yeah. I go everywhere, so I see Muslims every day, right? And the vast majority of them come up and have very friendly discussions with me.
They don't throw milkshakes at you?
No, they don't. No, the vast majority don't. In fact, look over the years, how many times I've had grief. I do get a lot of grief, but the vast majority really just want to discuss and chat. And I realised how I thought, you know what, they take it pretty well in comparison. Because when I spoke out about Black Lives Matter, I was like, Jesus Christ, like what? And even with my friends, right? So people who understand where I'm from Luton Town, where white English people are a minority, yeah, and that's all I've ever known. Yeah, so you line up my 30 friends, you'll have St. Lucians, Jamaicans, Italians. We are all sons of immigrants. My mother was an immigrant. Yeah, we're all sons of immigrants. Yeah. My son, we're all sons of immigrants. And when I spoke out against Black Lives Matter, a lot of my friends really took an insult, and I was so shocked by it. And even now, I'll go to my school chat this morning. Yeah, let me show you my school chat. This is my school chat, and if there'll be some, and I mean friends since I was kids, and then they're putting out about being oppressed. I was like, lads, we went to school together, yeah. none of you are victims of racism in school, right? This whole, what are you talking about? What are you on about? Yeah? What are you on about? And it's just, and this is what this Marxist organisation's done. It's totally caused a divide across our whole country. It's totally caused a divide. Now, even in my school chat this morning, so I just go in and ask questions. This is from this morning. I just whack my things. It's like I'm fishing with lads, just because I'm still upset. If I'm honest, and I was really upset and still hurt by the way some of my good friends, but they on their side they say they felt upset because they've argued against people saying I was a racist for years, and then they felt that my video against Black Lives Matter just threw the blacks under the bridge. I said I spoke about an organisation. I spoke about it's just because it has the name black in it. That's what this problem's been, is because that is a defund the police, attack the police. 14 people murdered in 1 year, 8 police officers executed, 32 people dead in the last 12 months at the hands of Black Lives Matter riots. Yeah? George Floyd's life mattered, okay? But so does everyone else's. And what we've seen, these riots and this destruction, everyone's fed up with it. And when it gets to taking the knee, I haven't watched football since. I have not watched football since because I think it's so hypocritical. All these footballers are taking a knee. You're going to go play in Qatar. You're all going to go play in the World Cup in Qatar. That's what you're going to go do. You're taking the knee against slavery. Well, Qatar's still got slaves. Qatar's still executing homosexuals. Qatar's still got an appalling human rights record on women. Qatar is still one of these fascist, barbaric states. We've moved on. I'm not accountable for anything from hundreds of years ago. Yeah? And no one in our generation.
Yeah, we've got a past in this country.
Yeah, we've got a past, as has everyone. And as has every country, yeah? And we shouldn't be made to feel guilty in our generation about things that have happened that have totally nothing to do with us, yeah? If anything now, this country is the most tolerant society in the world, and it's the best country in the world, and for everyone slamming it and smashing it and pretending, my problem is, which is a problem for me, is I base everything on statistics and numbers and facts, so I research everything. So before I start talking about it, I've researched it. Yeah? Otherwise, I'm not talking about it. So when I researched Black Lives Matter and racism in this country and racist murders in this country and police racism in this country, I found things like, for example, I'm not refreshing it now. For example, I think only 8% of white working class children who are on free school meals go to university. But I think it's 40% of black children. The biggest academic failures anyway in this country are white working class kids. Yeah? So this institutionally racist country, it's the white working class kids who are the biggest failures of it. Yeah? And then I looked at juries. So I looked at, okay, so if we've got such a racist public, they'll just be finding black people guilty, wouldn't they? No. You're more likely to be found guilty if you're white by a jury than if you're black. Then I looked at deaths in police custody and found that less black people are dying proportionally in this country. And I looked at the United States, and when I looked at the United States, there's been 550 interracial violence attacks in that country. 450,000 from black people against white people. So I thought, well, that doesn't sound like a white supremacist nation. Yeah? And I'm not even saying that all those attacks are because of race. Yeah, many of them are because of poverty. But a lot of that poverty then comes from a culture of music, yeah, where we're celebrating gangsters and drug dealing, yeah, and also a culture of not having your dad. Okay? Because in the 1960s, 80% of black families in the United States had a dad. Now only 20% do. I'll quote Barack Obama, yeah? Because that is the reason for black people being involved in so much crime. Like people say about the amount of police arrests on black people. I think black people are responsible for 50% of homicides in the United States. Yeah? They're only 12% of the population. Okay? So there's more interaction with the police. But you are more likely to die at the hands of the police in the United States, percentage-wise, as a white male than you are of a black male. But no one would think that. We'd literally think from the media telling us that black people are just being executed in the street. And most of my mates, unfortunately, in the school chat, knew none of these facts. None of them. And literally just believed that the British police force are just a racist police force and everything's racist. And do you know what? And it upset me more so because at that moment, those 2 months, 3 months in my life, I'd say because of the way it went, because of how profile it went. And do you know what? It hurt me because I speak passionately about what I speak about and I wear the hat against Islam happily. And if I walk out that road now and someone stabs me for it, I'm wearing it, yeah? Because I believe wholeheartedly in what I'm saying. For someone to want to attack me and have a view of me thinking it's because I'm against the colour of their skin, I can't wear that because that's not who I am. So I don't wear that hat and I'm not happy to wear it at all. So
get back to Terry's question, because we're doing this on just about
the kids. Yeah, so it's been very, as I said, this last 12 months has been a total earthquake, if I'm honest. because my kids have suffered hugely. I've seen my little boy with panic attacks. I've seen him scared. I've seen him scared in his home, even up till recently over... I haven't made public my mum's house. When's this going out? Yeah, soon. Now, there's certain things I can't talk about in a minute as well, because I have a court case coming up. But there's been... I've seen my children scared.
Yeah, and that's not good for anybody.
No,
I went through it. It's nowhere near the level that you went through, but a troll turned up in my street. So, that's taking it to the next level. It's going from being an online bully to then suddenly turning up in your house. Now, he said he turned up to apologise. I don't give a monkeys. He turned up in my street when I was on the school run with a kid. That's taking it to extreme measures. What? To hand us a note, and make it...
That's intimidation.
Because I called you out. It's taking it to the next level. Okay. Let's crack on with these questions. There's some good ones, and there's some, as I say, more questions. But one thing you've done so far, you're answering the questions.
Mate, what did I say to you before we come? We said about questions. I said, I don't want to know what you're going to ask me.
You did, yeah.
I don't want to
prep them.
Don't prep them. I don't want to know.
Which is good.
Because I'll answer anything. I'm like an open book.
And the key is, as well, it's an unedited video, which is the most important thing. You don't get the option to say what you want to say. People might not agree with it. I might not agree with it. However... You get a chance to have a say freedom of speech.
But there is no freedom of speech.
This is what we're attempting to give you.
Yeah, these people who I've seen the detractors, they don't want me to even have a right to reply. So the problem the authorities had and the problem the government had is because of social media. I built up a following where I had my own free speech. So all of these media could write a lie about me like they have in the last 3 months. I'll just show them the lie, dissect it, show the public. Actually, this is a lie. This is a lie. Like most of the things you're saying to me now, I could destroy them. Yeah? Destroy them in a video. Only now I don't have a platform to put the video on. Now, and I saw a lot of comments saying free speech isn't hate speech. No, you're right, it's not. But I've not been arrested ever on hate speech. Don't you think if I had committed hate speech, I'd be arrested or tried? I've never had an arrest or a question for anything to do with racism or hate speech. Yeah? But yet I'm banned from every social media platform. So if I break the law, try me, arrest me, prevent me having a voice, yeah? But I haven't broke any laws, so I spit facts, which unfortunately some people don't like facts, but I spit the truth, right? No matter how much people don't, and I pride myself on it, which, and at times it has such a negative effect, which it has done, as I said. The last 12 months has been difficult because I've seen the effect that it's cancelled my family.
Okay, here's another one. This was anonymous. When Lee Rigby's family and regiment asked people to be calm, respectful, and not use Lee's name to stoke anger, incite hate, and mount revenge attacks, why did Tommy choose to disrespect Lee's memory by ignoring their wishes and opt instead to exploit Lee's murder for his own ends?
I watched every word of what his mother said, actually, and she didn't ask us people not to demonstrate. She said, if you do so, please do so calmly and respectfully. Now, I held 50 rallies on one day across the country where we laid flowers and held a minute silence in total calmness, yeah. Only in 2 cities, I believe Sheffield, where we come under attack from Antifa, and they ripped up all the flowers and smashed up all the Lee Rigby's flowers. Only there we then went back the next week in mass numbers, yeah. So we didn't at all disrespect Lee Rigby's family, and I listened very carefully to what they were asking for, to see what to do at that time. And as I've told you in my speech, which people don't want to accept or listen to, they might cut that little bit of what I said in 2012 or 11, but they don't want to pick up anything else I've said, where I've made comments. I had that opportunity where there was a lot of anger in the country. I went out of my way to make video after video saying, don't attack a mosque, don't attack Muslims, yeah? Don't attack innocent people walking down the street. You can't do it, okay? It makes you a moron and a scumbag. It totally defeats what we're trying to say, yeah? And I've gone out of my way to do that, and that was and even in my Newcastle demo, that was the first thing I said on the stage. So people don't want to, they'll just ignore that. They'll just ignore everything else, and they'll find one little line from something in 2012 and then pick a big fault of it like it's a big gotcha moment. It's not a gotcha moment at all.
Okay, Martin says, can you ask him why he put the trial of the grooming gang in jeopardy ahead of personal gain and publicity?
Great, I didn't, and do you know what? They actually changed the law because of that. Because what I did was within the law. I didn't break any reporting restrictions. I didn't. For reporting restrictions, they have to be on the court system, on the screen, and they have to be on the door. Both of which I had a picture of. They weren't, okay? And on the website it wasn't. There was nothing, which was all proven. Yeah? Now, after that case, I was remanded, sent straight to jail, so people know. I made a little video, and watch the hour-long video, where I actually say, I've got Muslim mates who grew up who would want to smash these guys for what they've done. This isn't all Muslims, it's certainly not. But there's a problem. There's a problem why 90% of the convictions are Muslim men, and we've got to be able to talk about it to address it. That's what the purpose of my video was, and it's being hidden. There's secret court cases everywhere now. You know Batley? Batley, where these protests are happening outside the school.
Outside the school, yeah.
Mufti Pandor is the main man organising these protests. He's the local imam. His brother is in charge of Kirklees Council. His brother is, right? So both of them, let's look at both of them. In Batley, within a 3-mile radius of where that point is, there's been 99 arrests in the last 12 months for rape of children. 32 of them have been charged. What's Mufti Pandor done about that? He hasn't commented on it. Right? He hasn't commented on it. 32 of his mosque members have been raping kids in our community. He hasn't mentioned it. Right? His brother, all he said from Kirklees Council is, that's in the past. But he's talking about Huddersfield's grooming scandal. That's his only comment. But yet everyone's outside the school screaming Allah Akbar and ready to go nuts because of a cartoon. Priorities. Offended by what? You're offended by a cartoon? What about the rape of our kids? You're not offended by that? You don't think it's time to start screaming about that? But that's why I get so upset with the hypocrisy of it, with everything that's going on. But that trial was not put in jeopardy. After the case, once they'd watched the video, the entirety of the video, the prosecution actually said there's nothing that he says that could jeopardise this trial. They had appeals, the Muslim men who were sentenced, they had appeals before 2 different judges. There's nothing he says. Because I didn't say anything. I said they're innocent until proven guilty. Watch what I said. Don't believe the headline. Don't believe the media headline. The fact that I spent over 6 months on solitary confinement for that is a total liberty to our justice system. The fact that I was taken off the street and put straight in jail that day, whilst one of the rapists went home, got his suitcase and pissed off to Pakistan, and where he still is, by the way. There's been no justice. These men are on bail, just walking around, they're raping kids. One of them was working in a chicken shop. I looked him up before the case. I looked him up. He's in a chicken shop. The kids coming in a chicken shop every day. He's on bail for raping kids. So yeah, I didn't jeopardise the trial at all, and you should be angry that you're not told about it. If you as a member of the public, rather than picking fault with me, you should be angry that these men have raped children, they're walking around our streets, some of them are packing their bags and disappearing, escaping justice, and you're more angry that I made a video showing you all who they are. Do you know why I made that video? Because every mum and dad should know who these men are. And in fact, that's what I'm working on now. And we're getting to the point that I'm bankrupt. I have to be bankrupt because my next project, which is halfway done, COVID's ended it, which I'll be back at it soon as COVID finishes, is I'm letting the world know who these men are. Say, for example, in Newcastle, you had a grooming scandal on a gang who the police knew were guilty. The police knew they were guilty, and they haven't faced justice. Well, I'm going to make sure everyone in the world knows who these men are. And essentially, some people say, "Oh, but that's irresponsible." What I've done with this scandal is I've gone to a city and I've got 10 victims. I've took victim A and victim C. They don't know each other, but they all list the same men and they all list what they're doing. And these men are running really successful businesses and they're running a real system where they're all prospering from the rape of our children. And the police are corrupt, and I'll prove that in my documentary as well. I've got it. They're corrupt. They're working with the gangs in many of these cities. Then you have all the people who support them, which you've had in your city as well. I'll get onto that in Newcastle, where we are now. And I'm going to make it my sole objective. I'm letting everyone know who they are. And I think someone has to, because they're going around enjoying this life of crime. And whilst the victims now, I had a victim. It's in the documentary we're doing. I had a victim just 2 months ago. You was there, weren't you? Ring me up. So I went and found her. Ring me up. Breaking down. She messaged me saying you won't be able to speak to me after you've got an hour for me to do this because you won't be able to talk to me again. I'm like, what? She had driven from where she lived 3 hours. She sent me her location. She was outside the house of one of the men who had been persistent in raping her as a kid, and she was going to end her life. And she's crying and crying and crying. And as I said, people need to watch this. Yeah, they need to understand it, so they understand what we see and hear and we're dealing with, the victims we're dealing with. She's crying, she's distraught, she was suicidal. We convinced her and we met her, and she didn't kill herself. But she sees no way out. She's had no justice. But yet these men are living a life of Riley. Now, I want to use my platform, and I'm going to use my platform, to let the world know who they are. And they may get away with it because of corruption, and you may have escaped justice, but you will be famous, and you'll be famous for all the wrong reasons, a bit like me. but that's what That's what I'm working on now, and that's what I've been working on. And to the people who said, "Oh, you jeopardised the trial," mate, you should be angry that these trials are being hidden from you. You should be angry that these trials are going on across the country. You should be angry at the amount of rape and prostitution and attacks on girls in our community. That's what you should be angry about. Not angry at Tommy Robinson because he told you so. So yeah, I remember we're in North East. I'd done a show, 2011. Called Free Speech in Sunderland, and I was sat there and Syra Khan was on the panel. I don't know if you remember it or you watched it, and they're all shouting. I was sat there on my own in the whole studio. I sat and thought, I walked through Newcastle one time, I walked through Sunderland. Where have you found this audience? Every one of them were these student brainwashed racist, bigot, that's all they were screaming. No one give me an example. Syra Khan sat and said to me, I said about getting death threats to my family, and she justified death threats. She sat and said, well, I don't get death threats. Do you know why? Because I'm a nice person. Syra Khan left Islam last year. Yeah? She's now receiving death threats. She's all over the news, living in fear for her life. But I thought you were a nice person, Sarah. So you couldn't receive death threats, could you? You received death threats for the exact problems I'm talking about. The rules of blasphemy, the Islamic doctrine that tells you to kill people when they leave Islam. But Syra Khan was there, and so was Dipu Ahart, your famous Labour councillor for the city. He's been prominent in everything against me. Yeah? He sat 3 rows behind me, and at that show, you can pick up the dates for it, 2011. It's before Rotherham, it's before all the grooming scandal. All I was trying to do was tell people about the grooming gangs. Yeah? You've now had them come out in 2017, 18 or something in Newcastle. Yeah? I was just trying to, it actually turns out it's actually Dipu's ward and Dipu's area where all these gangs were from. And then it turns out and transpires that Dipu, the Labour councillor, his nephew, he was convicted for the Mumbai-style terrorist attack in the London Stock Exchange. This is Labour's councillor. And then it transpires that last year he's now pled guilty to stalking and harassment of a woman. And when he was in court for stalking and harassment of a woman, your Labour Party, your local Labour Party and local councillors, why we're here, let me just get their names up because they need naming and shaming. There's all these people who are angry at me. I think, do you actually live in Newcastle? You have got Nigel Todd, Councillor Schofield, your Unison activist and chairman Mike Bowman have all gone to court to support a Muslim councillor who has now pled guilty to harassment, intimidation and fear of a young girl. Yeah? They went to court to support him. You should be moaning about them. You should be upset about them, not upset about me. I'm just talking about it.
Okay, let's try and get...
Went off on 1-0.
Let's try and get a few more. Okay, next question from Chris. He says, I can honestly say I've got no dislike for anyone purely based on their skin colour or beliefs. It's their actions that put them in that category. Can you honestly say the same?
I can honestly say I have no dislike for anyone based on their skin colour or beliefs. I have a dislike for a belief system that promotes intolerance, that promotes violence, that promotes... I see one of the girls, for example, who left your...
Yeah, one of my podcasts.
Your podcast, you had 3 girls. They've all quit.
Yep.
Like, it's my ball and you're not playing. That's basically what it is. It's so pathetic. Yeah? It's so pathetic from adults anyway. But one of those girls, they would have had a rainbow flag. I have a dislike for an ideology that promotes executing homosexuals, yeah? Which is what Islam does. Okay, that's what Islam promotes. That's not what your average Muslim in the UK. Now I'm allowed to, so I point out the difference. I separate the two. Muslims, people. Yeah? Islam is an idea, and it's an idea that we must be free to criticise. We must be free to pick fault at. We must, without everyone calling us bigots, extremists, and racists. Because when we pick fault with Islam, everyone goes mad. We pick fault with Christianity, everyone celebrates. Great, yeah, laugh at Jesus. But we're not allowed to mock or laugh or even pick fault with this. Like the girl. That girl who quit. She quit because I'm a hate-filled bigot. Insane. I just think, I even told those 3 girls, come and sit with me, yeah? Because if I'm that stupid knuckle dragger that you portray me as, we'd sit and debate and you'd all come out on top, wouldn't you? Because you'd be versed and you'd have researched what you're talking about. Or we'll sit down and you'll look like morons because you know absolutely nothing about what you're defending. You know nothing about the facts, you know nothing about what's going on, and you live in your little bubble where, he's talking about stuff so he must be full of hate. No, girls.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Steve, that you've lost 3 of your people. And just even on that record, you sit down and you interview me, yeah? This is what this is. We're not mates. We haven't got no relationship. It's like I've sat down with James English, I've done interviews with Piers Morgan, I hate the bloke, yeah? I've done interviews with everyone, right? You don't see them all dropping like flies around him. It's pathetic. I find it absolutely... I just can't believe... When I watch it, I just think, is this actually happening? Is this actually happening? People are spitting their dummies out and quitting their shows, and because we're talking.
It's a YouTube, channel. It's under my name. I put different content on. The most viewed figures on my YouTube channel are over 100,000 on crime, on criminals. So
who kill people and sell drugs and do all this crime.
Exactly. So getting you on shouldn't be controversial, but unfortunately it is. This is from Alan. He says, Tommy claimed to want Muslims to integrate and follow the law. However, he seems unable to abide by it. How does that work? It's a similar question to one we had before, but it's one that's continuous. A lot of people think that, you're preaching one thing and doing another. Is that right? Do you think?
If I didn't start the English Defence League, if I didn't start talking about Islam, do you think I'd have had the run-ins with the law I've had? Does anyone actually think that? Yeah. At that time,
maybe at football.
Maybe at the football, yeah, because I love to go in football, and I don't deny that. But even if the football, I've totally changed.
Yeah.
I totally changed.
You grew older.
I grew older, and do you know what? The banning order worked because I love taking my kids to football. My Saturday is my day with my children, and that's gone now as well. I'm banned for 4 years again.
Well, we're all banned at the minute.
Yeah, that's why the ban ain't too bad at the minute, because no one can go. But yeah, I just So again, what I said to him is, mate, I don't claim to be some innocent little angel, and I never have. I'm just...
Cameron asks, why are you disrespectful to the Quran?
The Quran is disrespectful to me. 60-70% of the Quran talks about me as a non-believer. It says what will happen to me, what should happen to me, how I should be treated. Am I not entitled to an opinion on what it says about me? Do you know what I mean? I'll say, Cameron, have you actually read the Quran? There's 100 verses that tell them to murder us.
You read it when you were locked up, didn't you?
I read it when I was locked up. It was quite funny, actually. One of these dawah stalls sent me it with a letter saying, hey, Tommy, you're in jail. And they sent me the Quran. So, yeah, what I done, which I challenge anyone to do, is take the Quran. Because I tried to... And that's when all the pennies dropped. I knew growing up there was problems, and I always thought it was down to the Pakistanis, because they were different in the town. The culture, the gang mentality, all of this was so different. I took the Quran, I went through it, and I made references. So with the verse number. So every time it told a Muslim not to be friends with Christians or Jews, I wrote the verse number. Yeah? And every time I picked different faults to do with women, and I wrote the verse numbers, and I dissected it, just going through, because what people need to understand is you can pick the Quran up. I'm picking up Operation Stairs. Yeah? I'm looking forward to reading it. But you can pick the Quran up. I'm sorry for comparing you, bro, to the Quran. Yeah? I'm sorry. See, that's disrespectful to Operation Stairs. But you can pick the Quran up and you can flick through the Quran. And it's not in chronological order. One thing Muhammad said one day can be next to something he said 20 years later. But to really understand Islam and abrogation in Islam is that what Muhammad says later in his life supersedes what he says earlier, which is why I published a Quran, best-selling Quran, called Muhammad's Quran, Why Muslims Kill for Islam, to try and make it easy for people to understand it, because you've got to decode the book. You can't just pick up a book and make sense of it. You can't. It's impossible. So then you've got to be taught it by the imams, by Saudi money. But yeah, I don't. That's why when you say, do I disrespect the Quran or why don't I respect it? Islam doesn't respect me. It doesn't respect any of us as non-Muslims. Craig
says, can you ask Tommy if he's ever lied or deliberately misled his fans and supporters and the general public?
If he's ever... I'm having a lot of things going on now to do with a video in Italy. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it? No, so there's a video in Italy. Now, I don't edit my videos, yeah? I used to have a team who edit, 2 lads, right, who worked for me. So we'd go and you might make... Say we walk into a town centre and there's 20 minutes worth of footage. You've got to get that into a 3 or 4 exciting minutes of footage to put the video out, to tell the context. And what was cut out in the video was some lad come over to me. He tried to touch the camera. I grabbed him and threw him, and he goes in front of a car. That was cut out, yeah? And then he comes over to me and he says, take your life and I will smash your car or something like that. And I turn around and iron him out. And I don't think it changes much, but a lot of people saying that was deceiving because it just showed me him threatening me and me hitting him. It didn't show what had gone on before.
A bit like the York Races footage a few years ago.
It's like every bit of footage anyone sees me. You see 20 seconds, yeah? It's like I wish you could see all the footage. Yeah, York, do you know a funny thing? Let me tell you a funny story about that. So I went to... It was Ascot, wasn't it? I went to Ascot and I'm with my wife. And do you know what? I'm with my wife's friends. It wasn't my friends, right? It's her friends and their partners. And we've gone along, and trust me, we're never getting invited again, yeah? But we've gone along and we've gone to the races, and it's been and all of her friends were so shocked because they were like, everyone loves you. Because I had crowds of people all getting their photos, and they were so shocked. And for my wife, because I don't go out a lot with her, I hadn't gone out a lot with her over the years. We live separate lives because of how it is. And her friends were like, everyone loves you. And they were so shocked by it, because they're probably thinking, you're not. Everyone loves you. And then on the way back to the van, on the way back to the bus, some fella was following, and he kept giving me shit. And then he gets in the way at the end, and then we end up fighting. But him, the next day, I received loads of messages from his friends saying, mate, we're gutted, we all love you. And he is our left-wing friend, yeah? And he's a Jeremy Corbyn supporter, and he's this. And then I said, send me his number. So I rang him up, I said, mate, you see what you've done? Because you started that. You followed me, you abused me, I was with my wife, I warned you multiple times. And now look how it is for me. And he goes, please, bro, no one can find out who I am. No, please don't let anyone know who I am. I've got this job, he's got his own business. I said, all right, now I want to find out who you are. Yeah? I said, but mate, you've messed me up here, man, because it looks so bad for me. And then, this was just last year, he's getting married. And his mate messaged me and say, please, Tommy, like 2 years ago, do a video for us, yeah, for his wedding. I said, yeah, well, I'll do a video for you. And I've done a video saying, all right, mate. I said, I've just looked at your missus, you're punching. You weren't punching last time, because you're getting on it now. But I said, who knows, I might pop up in a bit. But I asked him to do a charity boxing match with me afterwards for the crack, and I actually ended up getting on with him. After speaking to him next down the phone, because, mate, listen, I don't care if you support Jeremy Corbyn, I don't care if you support Labour, I don't care if you're a Marxist or a communist, I don't care, right? And that's what you want to be. But coming up to me and giving me grief and I'm with my missus and following me and abusing me, he goes, mate, I was drunk. I said, all right. I goes, but it's blown up bad for me here. And it looks bad because people see that 20-second of that clip rather than seeing the full context. Same as the incident in Portugal, same as so many incidents.
There's always somebody with a phone these days.
Yeah, there is.
That's a situation. DB, he says, please ask Tommy to detail why he left the EDL, how his relationship with Majid Nawaz helped him make that choice. Second question, Colin Roberts seems to be the main source of information and articles critical of him. What was his work history?
Okay, so let's start on leaving the English Defence League. I was facing 4 years prison, I believed, and I met Majid Nawaz, and I'm just going to speak honestly. I used him and he used me. I met Dr. Osama Hassan, who I was fond of, and I was searching as well, because we're all searching, yeah? I was searching for an answer. Where's the answer to all these problems? And you want to find an answer. So with Quilliam, I found Majid Nawaz, and I found Dr. Osama Hassan and a guy called Ghaffar Hussain, and I liked them, and everything they were saying I could relate with, and to this Islam, yeah. And I thought, great, if these Muslims can, if we can promote this form of Islam and this moderate form of Islam. And then I spent months working with them and realised that none of them are Muslims. They've all left Islam. But we can't say they've left Islam because then they're going to get killed, yeah? So I thought, so what you're promoting is a lie. You're pushing a lie to the public because you've got no support by no imams and no mosques in this country, yeah? In fact, you're hated more than me. So that's what my experience was with them. And I used them in the sense that I was going to jail, and I come to an agreement which all of you who believe Israel fund me or the security services, I done a deal that if the entirety I was in jail, that Majid Nawaz would pay all my family's bills.
Okay.
That was it. Yeah? Because I was going to jail worrying, thinking, like I'm worrying now, like I'm worrying all the time, thinking, if my family don't have their own finance, they then end up on the system, they end up in a council house. Now, where do you think my family would be put? If they get council house from Bedfordshire Council, where do you think they're going to put them? I know where they're going to put them. Yeah? They're going to be in that harm's way. So that's always been my worry. So when I was going to jail possibly for 4 years, I wanted to guarantee that I knew, till I come out and earn money myself, my kids were okay. I'd come to that agreement with Majid Nawaz. I only got 18 months and I was out after 6, so I probably should have done it. And I was gutted leaving EDL, and it hurt leaving EDL, but I also felt that my time was continually spent battling with idiots within the EDL. There were so many morons, so many great people, but there was always people trying to pull it in their own way. People wanted to be anti-immigration. I've never been anti-immigration. I get a lot of detraction for that, yeah? Everyone I know are sons of immigrants. Everyone I know is immigrants in my upbringing, yeah? But I've been anti-Islam and anti-Islamic immigration. But yeah, that's on that point. And then what, Caelan Robertson?
Yeah.
I hired Caelan Robertson there's a Facebook video. There's
Lucy
a
Brown gets a mention as well by Joe. He says, can you ask how he felt when Kayla Robertson and Lucy Brown both betrayed him, if he's spoken to them since, and what would he say if he bumped into them now?
Kaylin will be asleep. No, look, Kaylin, I'll tell you what happened, and this is the first time he's going to find out of this as well, yeah? Because then he'll start thinking in his head, what have I got? So, Kaylin, I go to jail, and this is what I tried to meet Lizzie Dearden, the journalist. I tried to bring lots of stuff to show her. She's wrote an article about me recently, but I'll fill you in, yeah? Okay. I go to jail for the grooming gang scandal. The weekend I'm in jail, Kaylin spends £2,000 on the bank, on a business bank card, yeah? Spends £2,000 on Airbnbs, £400 Knightsbridge, living the life, going out, spend loads of money. I'm in prison. He then goes on to steal £20,000 in Bitcoin. Yeah? So I come out of jail, and I know how. By this time, I know how damaged and poisonous Kaylin is. Yeah? Kaylin, there's a video of him where he was. What was it before Facebook? MySpace, yeah. He was MySpace famous or something, done a little video, and he was all about being famous and having this character and upsetting people, and I wish I'd seen that before I hired him. And in fact, the signs were there, because he come to work for Rebel with me, and then he tried to blackmail Ezra as well for money and all sorts, and then they had a big fallout.
And this is all common knowledge.
This is all common knowledge. And then he went and sold all the information on Ezra. When he left, he went and done all these sneaky things with different media that hated Ezra and got him to do all this stuff. But Kaylin at some point had logged into an iPad. Yeah. So I come out of jail and I logged into the iPad, and Kaylin's still logged in. So I go on his email and I look on his email, and then I find out he's working for Home Not Hate. And then I go back through the dates, and Kaylin doesn't know I had his email, and it's the first time he'd be finding out about it. But I read everything, yeah? So I go back through the dates and find out when he was planning to meet Home Not Hate, when he first met Home Not Hate. Home Not Hate are an organisation against me. I then find out he's being paid. I then find out they met at Prezzo. So then I trick him and say, I've got someone in Home Not Hate, Kaylin, and I know you met at Prezzo's. I know you've been working for him, you sneaky bastard. And I produced Panodrama. And then Kaylin goes on to tell me they were blackmailing me. They sexually assaulted and raped me. Yeah? I don't know if you've seen the footage. He names Joe Mulhall as being the man. Yeah? And in fact, I've got messages from him just 4 days ago where he's still confirming they blackmailed him. So Kaylin says he was blackmailed to give negative information about me, to give media stories against me. They blackmailed him. Yeah? He says it, and the recordings are on my documentary Panodrama. But that's okay. So I come out of jail and just thought, mate, I need away from him. They robbed my camera. They took my camera. When I went through their emails, this is how sneaky they were. They had a broken camera. They went and hired another camera, and they replaced the broken camera with their camera. Yeah? Even down to they robbed Alex Jones. They were robbing Alex Jones. They were robbing Stefan Molyneux. They were robbing what's her name, Lauren Southern. I went through I was following everything, just thinking, oh my God, you fraudsters! Yeah. Even down to getting a Burger King in the airport, they got a refund for it. They emailed and got refunds for it. They didn't like paying for anything. You know? He lived way out of his means. So I then produced Panodrama. I produced the footage where Kaylin's saying he was raped and abused by Home Not Hate. I then take down John Sweeney and end his career. Yeah? John Sweeney was the main. They were producing and creating evidence. I couldn't have done it without Lucy Brown. Yeah. I'll get on to Lucy. This is what happens with Kaylin. Yeah? John Sweeney now loses his job. Kaylin loses his job. Kaylin's trying to find work and trying to slag everyone off to try and get any newspapers that will talk to him. He's now a reformed, on the left, counter far-right extremist. He then teams up and works with John Sweeney. They're now working together, yeah? So Kaylin's now working. Kaylin has said to the media 4 different times he's given all the truth about me. He says something, 6 months later he says something else, 6 months later he says something else. Every 6 months they regurgitate him and stick him in the newspaper and use him as a source of information. Even though, so one journalist messages me, her name's Lizzie Dearden. You might have seen a newspaper article where I've been given a stalking injunction.
Correct.
For Lizzie Dearden, which is insane. Yeah? I've sent you the videos.
I've seen the videos, yeah.
I've not put the videos out yet, so no one's seen these videos. I, like everything, I video everything. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So when I went to her house, I recorded it. Yeah? You've seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
Was I calm?
Yes.
Was I aggressive?
No.
Was I threatening?
No.
So people understand. Lizzie Dearden contacts me. She sends me an email. I receive an email from someone forwards me. She didn't send it to me. She saying she wanted to get hold of me. It's Sunday. I receive this email. It's got all these allegations. I look at the allegations. One of them, and it's from Kaylin Robertson. Is her source of information. Caelan Robertson, who's now working for John Sweeney, who I've destroyed his career already. Caelan Robertson, who stole £20,000 Bitcoin and was sacked by me. Yeah? Caelan Robertson, with no evidence or nothing, is their source of information for all of these allegations. So I sit and read the allegations, and I'm not stupid. One of them is about prostitution, cocaine. Now I know what's coming. I know a headline's coming across all the national media: Tommy Robinson prostitutes cocaine. I know it's coming.
That's where the money went.
That's where the money went. Yeah, fucking hell. So I read it, and I'm like, right. So people understand the backstory. Lizzie Dearden has wrote 104 articles about me in the last 2 years. Yeah? That's one article every week. Right? That's stalking. That's more. I think it's 3 times more articles than anyone else has wrote about me. Is Lizzie Dearden. And then if you look, Lizzie Dearden was hired 2 years ago by The Independent. At that time, The Independent have mass money come into by Saudi Arabia. Your friends who want to buy the club. they take over The Independent, all this money comes in. She, from that point on, just bang, bang, she's going for me. Yeah? She writes a news article about Darren Osborne murder trial, the terrorist trial, where she claims it come out all over the media. I'm sitting at home and it just blows up everywhere. My face is everywhere. Not even Darren Osborne's face, my face. Yeah? And it says Tommy Robinson sent Twitter direct messages to Darren Osborne the day before the attack. It implies that I messaged him, that I knew him. Yeah? I go and spend £5,000 getting court transcripts because I think I've never done this. Right? It turns out Lizzie Dearden was lied. She just lied. So her lies have consequences. When people are on about she's reporting the truth, no, she's lying. Yeah? And those lies go around the world and they're aimed at me, involving me in a terrorist attack. Now after that, I had counter-terrorism come see me because the threat level against me, because it made it look like I had caused Darren Osborne to do a terrorist attack, the threat level against me and my family is upped. That's Lizzie Dearden. Lizzie Dearden then, as part of the case I'm facing now, when an Antifa extremist was sent to my house, just Google Tommy Robinson served and read her news article. Yeah? And you'll see in the video I'm about to release in my documentary, this bloke come to my house, he threatened to murder my children. Yeah? She just says Tommy Robinson was served with legal papers, just ignores that. Yeah? They outed my address live. They showed where my kids were, ended my marriage live. They showed where I live. So Lizzie Dearden then sends me, I've never reacted once. Lizzie Dearden sends me all these allegations, and her source of information is Caelan Robertson. So I look there and think, well, and this is Sunday. It takes me 10 minutes because I find out where Lizzie Dearden lives. So I go on my own, and you've seen the video.
Yeah.
I knock and I say, Lizzie, on the intercom, I haven't gone to her door. I watch these videos by Caelan. They can't get in. Caelan's on video the other day saying he's bashing on her door and he's shining lights in. Mate, I'm four floors down from her, pressing an intercom. And I said, Lizzie, you've said I've got to contact you by 10 o'clock in the morning. The reason I've gone there is because I want to video my response to her. I've bought all the documentation to show Caelan Robertson is a fraudster. I've bought all the documentation to show he stole £20,000. I've also bought the recordings and the evidence of him, the stuff they didn't report on, that he was blackmailed and they got him into a position, they sexually assaulted him. These are security services organisations, hope not hate. They got him into a position where they blackmailed him and threatened him with prison unless he took me down. And so I said, everything he's telling you, yeah, there's your evidence. That's what he's done. Now, I very calmly pressed the buzzer. She didn't come out. Police turned up instead. Sorry, COVID. Police turned up instead and they arrested me. They arrested me for breaching COVID and public order, which is total facade when you watch the video. Yeah? I was very calm. I'd already drove off. I'd already drove off and they pulled me off somewhere else. And what I said to her is, Lizzie, and I had questions to ask her. So the next day I sent her an email. When I got out of the police station, I sent her an email saying, Lizzie, you have a source of information, yeah? What about if I have a source of information? Just explain to me, I've got a source of information that alleges Samuel, which is her partner, Samuel is a paedophile. Yeah? But I know my source of information is not reliable. But I know your source of information is not reliable, and so do you. Yeah? Now, bearing in mind, Lizzie's wrote 108 news articles about me. She's never once contacted me, ever. So she's contacted me now because she knows what she's doing wrong. She's using a fraudulent source to run headlines that are going to go around the world about me. That are going to, and my upsetting is, which I said to her on the buzzer at her door, is, Lizzie, my children are going to have to read these lies. You've got no evidence. It's all lies. Yeah? And you're going to publish these everywhere. And the purpose for it is they wanted to destroy any ability I have to work. And the ability I have to work is people supporting my work and donating. So all of these things you're asking me and all these smears of all this money and security services, it's also to prevent people supporting my work so I can't work. That's all it's to do. So I contact her and say, if I've got a source of information, is it fair that I run with that? Yeah, you're running with a source of information you know is not fair. You know it's not reliable. Is it fair if I run with this about Samuel? And I looked up her partner, and I done a bit of research on her partner. I found he's a registered schizophrenic. I found certain things about him. I said, so anyone can do this, yeah, and that's a fact, yeah. And I sent her the facts and the evidence. I said, anyone can do this. So I've got smears now about your partner. Is it fair? She obviously didn't think it was fair because she went straight to the police again, and then they get a stalking injunction. Stalking. It's the first time I've contacted you. You've wrote 108 news articles about me. You've been part of a group that come to my house and live stream my address where my children had to leave and had panic attacks and had fear put into them. You've done all these things. She hasn't got no kids in the house when I knocked on the door. When I knocked on the door, she had kids. She's got no kids. It's her and her partner. She's lied about me continuously for years, and I've gone once, calmly, respectfully, and just tried to answer their questions. And then I asked her questions. How much is Caelan Robertson being paid by your paper for this story? Yeah. None of them have been answered. And do you know what? Now, I'm not even allowed to talk about her. So although I'm talking about her now, and I don't really care about it, pull me into court on fucking your stupid injunction. Because I haven't actually, because I couldn't go to court on the day it was on, yeah, I haven't been granted it. When a judge watches the videos I've got, yeah, which show me calmly knocking on the door and saying, look, I need to answer your questions. I don't want you to run news stories without giving me a right to reply. That's why I knocked on her door. You can't give, because you've done it for too long. Yeah, this is a serious story, and it's serious because, and it's more serious because over the last 12 months, since Black Lives Matter, really, the effect it's had on my kids, the fear they've had, the car getting blown up, having to move, having to hide, all of these things. I've got 3 children there, and it's really affecting them, and it's not right. And these stories, these all got back. My daughter, my eldest, all of her friends are banding these stories about, based on lies. Based on what? Where's your evidence? Not one bit of evidence, just a liar, just a proven liar. So a proven liar can just tell you stories and you run with headlines? It's like me just, you know, you've got all these trolls. Yeah. It's like one of these trolls now, saying whatever they want and then putting it on headlines across the papers. Yeah. That's what they're doing to me.
Well, I'll tell you with regards to the photograph with me and you, yeah. I'll tell you now, and this is the first time I've ever put that out there, that photograph was going to be used against me by a journalist if I was ever offered a high-profile job.
Yeah, of course, you wouldn't get a job. That's what I mean. Because they'll do it to the journalists.
I know that is a fact. And I know the journalist. I know exactly who he is, and I know that he has a story ready to go at any time.
If you get,
I am involved with you. And you've already said today, without me even prompting you, that we're not mates. We're sitting down.
We met once.
We met
in a pub.
Exactly.
And do you know what? I forget your mate. He busted his hand, didn't he?
Yeah.
When England scored.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah, he split his hand, cut his wrist.
It was like scene from The Exorcist.
You should have seen it.
All over the place. Yeah, that was your fault.
Yeah, probably. It would have been. Yeah, that'd have been a far right attack or something. But the thing, Joe, for me, it is upsetting because when I had social media, I could counter these lies and I could destroy them. And when I destroyed them, people think, Jesus, we're being lied to. Yeah, they're lying to us, right? I can't do that now. So now I just have to sit back and see them all tell these lies about me. And I just think, with no evidence, and they're all given these platforms. Like Lizzie Dearden, I think, stalking. I knocked on your door once, yeah, and then I sent you one email, and in that email I was letting you know, is it right? If I've got a source, I said my source ain't reliable, yeah, but yours certainly ain't either. So is it fair that you report these lies? Is it fair? No, it's not. It's not right. And in an era, do you know what I was saying? In the times of, we've had the Leveson inquiry, we've had Caroline Flack persecuted, driven to death, yeah. When I watch what the media are doing to me, and it's being celebrated, all based on lies. All based on lies. There's not one single fact, video. Don't you think, yeah? Everyone knows who this Caelan Robertson is. He's a sneaky, poisonous little bastard, yeah? Everyone can see it. Now, do you not think he'd have had a video of me doing something? He worked with me for 2 years. Yeah? There's not one video. There's not one screenshot. There's not one bit of evidence. There's just him saying it. Oh, he said that I was laughing. My mates were in our group chat. We're all cracking. He said that I didn't have the money to buy a camera because I was paying off drug debts. It's like, what are you talking about? Total bullshit. But that bullshit is now spoken about as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's now repeated enough, it becomes a truth.
All the questions you're asking me are now a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Money, finance. Where's this? Where's the people's money? Where's that? All a matter of fact. without one regard for any of the truth of what's gone on over the last few years, all coming from a proven liar who is on record, even just last week, as saying that he was blackmailed, sexually assaulted, and put into a position, threatened with prison by high-up people unless he took me down. And now he's sat on TV taking me down. And no one wants to listen to the other side. No one wants to listen. I've got recordings. I have put public recordings of him saying these things.
How do you win in this situation? I mean, your detractors, right, would say that this is karma, it's chickens coming home to roost. You know, you've had husband warnings, probably up to double figures now. You know, you've lost your marriage, you've lost your, you know, you haven't lost your kids, but, you know, happened to you in your life. You're facing, you know, you're bankrupt now. You've got legal cases going on. You've been accused of stalking. You know, how on earth do you turn this round? You know, why do you do it? I mean, I've got.
You see, that's the machine, yeah. The machine that is against me, the machine of the establishment. It's a machine, yeah, and it's coming from everywhere. And at the minute, I feel like I'm being battered from everywhere. Yeah? But I know. So there was a story where a Syrian refugee got a bottle of water poured on him. You may remember it. It was world news, and it was supported by everyone. Okay, the Syrian refugee was invited to Parliament by Sajid Javid. Now I have evidence which I'm about to release, and do you know what I've done with Panadrama is I released my Panadrama to prove their fraudulent show before, and then they cancelled their show because I'd ruined them.
Yeah.
On this one, I could release it now. I've got it. Yeah? I've got the evidence. Last week I was in court. I showed the judge the evidence. You've seen the evidence.
Yes.
I've shared the videos with you.
Yeah.
The whole thing was a lie. It was totally manipulated, totally falsified. Right? The British public were lied to at the tune of £160,000 in donations for this Syrian refugee. They were lied to and told a story which wasn't true. He wasn't being bullied at all. He was the bully. This is what's now coming out. People's silence was bought. They were intimidated, threatened. Yeah, and I have all of that now. But what I want people to realise is just how deep this rot goes. So I've showed the judge all of this. I could put it out now and clear my name, because I'm being called a liar. I could put it out now and clear my name, or I could wait. And what I'm doing is waiting. And I'm letting the media have their field day, because they're all still calling me a liar, and they're all still bumbling in, and they're all going to be proven as complicit in this story, in this lie. So I'm just waiting to the end. And when it gets to the end of my court case, we'll see what. I hope, please restore some faith in the British judicial system. This court case against me, which is up to £700,000, is a total abuse of our court system. It's a total liberty what they're doing, and they're using our court system to destroy me, and that's what they're doing. And to be honest, it's been very difficult to keep up. I'm now representing myself, and I feel like I've had to be a lawyer for the last 2 months. I haven't stopped, and up until 2 months ago when I started representing myself in this case, I'd sort of given up the fight. All the things you're just listing against me, I sort of given up.
Well, other people are listening, not me.
Yeah, all those listening. I felt so drained, so exhausted. I'd had the worst year ever with my kids, the worst year ever with my ex-wife now, the worst year ever for everything. Worse than the last 2 summers where I was in jail each summer. Far worse. And I felt defeated, and I knew what's coming, and what's coming is the world's media are going to tell everyone I lied. So then I've just pulled my finger out, stopped feeling sorry for myself come January, and I went out and got active, and I spent months door-stopping everyone in the city of Huddersfield. And I got the evidence I needed, and I've now got that. And I sit here, and a council wrote to me this week, Kirklees Council, saying, warning me, yeah. Do you know what? And I'm worried now. I say I'm worried. I'm worried about a court order coming, prohibiting me from ever showing anyone what I've got on camera. And I will show it. Go to jail or not go to jail, yeah. The British public have been lied to once, have been lied to again. I am going to out that lie. I'm going to show everyone the truth of what happened in that city. I'm going to show them who was complicit and who wasn't. And I've got it all on camera. I've got all of it on undercover footage. So I'm comfortable with that. But then, so why? You know, and I know now. So at the end of that, I'm just going to land it like a fucking bomb. There you go. There's the facts, man. And why do? And I also know. I know that Donald Trump is very soon to release his own social media platform. So at the minute we're silenced, yeah? I say we're silenced. Say like Caelan Robertson, he done a video about me this week. It had 20,000 views. I'm banned from every social media in the world, yeah? I guarantee you, when I make a video detailing him and what I'm going to do, it will far excess any of their views, yeah? So they think they've silenced us, they've hid us, they've made people stop talking about us. I know the minute that new social media platform is released, I got up to 380,000 followers on Parler within a month. Yeah, the minute it's released, I'll be back. I'll be exploding, and I'll be humiliating the media again, and going back to work in the best way. I got offered. So people are sitting thinking, I can see them all like vultures, thinking it's the end of Tommy Robinson. We're destroying him with all this media. Totally wrong. Yeah, totally wrong. I will come back. And do you know what? The gloves are off. I don't have to worry about my children in my house. Yeah, I don't have to worry about my wife telling me I can't do this and can't do that, because I can do whatever I want now. Yeah, I don't have to worry about
the 3 divorced blokes you live with.
Yeah. Oh, do I worry about them?
You've got to worry about them.
No, they're in it now.
Let's get there. Let's get a few more questions before I get panned for not asking all the questions.
All the negative ones.
Exactly. I'd ask him. This is from Daz. Would he do anything differently in regards to him starting up the EDL and put the record straight on why he started it in the first place? That's from Daz.
So Daz, would I do anything differently? I live my life by saying no on everything. Yeah, even the mistakes, even the going to jail. I wouldn't change 1 second of it, because I believe that those wrongs or the mistakes you might make help to chisel the character you become. So I feel I'm in court in 3 weeks. When I come out at the end of this, I don't think there's anything I can't face. I've faced it all. So even the mistakes, even the solitary confinement, I know now, when I drop this next documentary, do I expect to go back to jail? Totally. I worry about what they're cooking up. I worry every day about it, thinking what's coming next. I don't know what's coming next. I know something's coming. I know that they're not happy until I'm totally finished off and silenced, because they know that I have an ability to galvanise people. I have an ability to... People listen, and that worries them. I had 172 million people read my tweets in 4 weeks and 64 million people watch my videos in a 4-week period. That must have terrified them. And then they thought putting me in jail would solve it, and then 40,000 people march on Parliament, and then people march all over the world, and politicians are talking about it everywhere. Every move they make to silence and destroy me hasn't worked. And right now, they think that the latest one will be this Jamal case, and it's not. It's totally going to backfire. I'm going to come out of it smiling, because I'm going to prove to everyone. And I know, so that's how I get through it. Is not, or I think I know what I'm doing is right as well. There's not one thing I'm doing right.
You've gone too far over the years now. You're not going to back down.
Oh no, don't they get it? Don't you get it?
You're going to continue in the vein. Bargain Goodies is a pseudonym, but he says, can you ask him for the reason why his planned documentary Shalom was never released?
Yep.
What legal warnings was he given relating to it? Also, is he still in talks with mainstream broadcaster to release his documentaries in the future, or have they all bottled it again?
So Shalom was a documentary about a Jewish man who was persecuted to death, and do you know how bad I feel that I haven't told his story? But Kaylin and George worked with me at the time. We had paperwork this high, on Shalom and on his life.
Yeah.
When I went to get the paperwork, they've lost it. They haven't got it anymore. No, it's gone. Yeah? Now I can't then put out a documentary and claim certain things without knowing every detail, and I simply don't. I've heard rumours about certain things to do with his death that I had to go through this paperwork. When we had a team, it was like I talk in front of the camera. That's my job. That's what I'm pretty good at. That's why. And unfortunately, with my wife, my ex-wife, she was good at everything else. Yeah? I'm not someone who sends emails, who keeps records, who does anything like that. I just go out and I talk, and that's what I was good at. She was good at everything else. She was good at the other side of everything. Yeah?
You're not an admin person.
No, I'm not an admin person. I'm not a person who could monetize or do anything to do with it. Yeah. What I've done now, I've been offered a job last week. So there's a new media company. I've been offered a job as a journalist. I'm accepting it. So this first documentary I'm doing now will be coming out for that company. They've offered me a wage, so I'll be getting paid. Mm-hmm. They're going to come under attack, so they're going to need people's support. But I hope the people that support me will then support that company, and I'll be straight back to work. Have I gone off on this question? What was the start of his question?
He was just saying, can you ask the reason why?
Oh, Shalom. That's why with Shalom, and I feel devastated for it. And we worked hard on it, and we had such a powerful story. But I can't trust that I put it out and there's not something in that paperwork that I haven't read and that I don't know, that these slippery little bastards are then going to go, oh, look, this is this. I don't know. I need to read every bit of paperwork, and I haven't got it anymore. So unfortunately, I can't.
Jonathan says, do you see... we've touched on him a little bit, by going up against the BBC?
Totally. It's like people thought, well, it would stop with me. I make their job easy, yeah? I'm working class, I talk a certain way, I walk a certain way, and I've got a history. So it's quite easy for them just to beat me down. And it's quite easy for them to put me into a bracket. So most people who have never heard a thing from me saying just think racist, bigot, extremist, because that's what they're told. Bit harder with Alex Belfield, but they're going for him, aren't they? They'll go for everyone and anyone.
Okay, this is from Dave. He says, I'd like to ask about the abuse he gets and if it affects him mentally, and is he concerned about the things he says and how that affects others?
Yeah. So the abuse doesn't affect me in the sense, as I said, I'm happy to wear the hat because I believe in it wholeheartedly. The BLM thing really affected me. I had a real difficult time because I'm not against blacks. I'm not at all. Never have been. But at the same time, we should be free to criticise black lives. Only now. So I put in my group chat to
it's put everybody in a position. Black Lives Matter for me, and I'm not somebody who gets drawn into these kind of conversations. Usually, I'm not somebody who does it on social media. I've got enough trouble defending the bloody takeover at Newcastle, which is trying to go through. Getting involved in that would have just been an absolute storm. So I avoid those kind of things, but. It's caused a massive divide.
Which is the purpose of it. A Marxist organisation wants to divide everybody. That's what they're doing.
Mike Ashley's good at Newcastle at dividing the fans. He's done that with the fans, and the fans will go mad because we've talked about Newcastle on a few occasions. But the Newcastle fans made our interview.
I'm a football fan. Yeah?
They made you come out and have a pop at them on that little video.
And when I had the pop at them,
you were stating something which. A lot of the people on the left side of politics are already saying there are people in our fan base who want to take over, but they don't want the Saudis to take over.
Principled people on the left wing.
I want the Saudis to take over.
I spoke to my other mate, George lad, and I just want to win some cups, some trophies. I don't care. Don't care if people get beheaded on the way.
Well, this is the thing. I'm afraid that most football fans.
No, I know
exactly that. It's football. We aren't.
But for me,
interested in politics. I just want to see it go through. I'm more concerned about the corruption. Amongst the big six in the Premier League who put a stop to it when the likes of Man City's been allowed to go through. Sheffield United's got involvement with Saudi. It's crazy for me.
With Newcastle, see, the thing for me is Newcastle's probably my favourite city in the UK. Yeah? I like Newcastle. I love Liverpool as well. But Newcastle's my favourite city, and I went to the Luton Newcastle game. And I had a great time and a great reception from pretty much everybody, yeah, bar one, pretty much everybody. So my dig wasn't a dig at Newcastle fans. Yeah? My dig was to just point out, right, how can you be quitting your jobs or quitting your show and quitting your talk show and all throwing your dummies out of the pram because someone's going to sit down and talk to me and ask me a couple of questions. It's insane, yeah? Least of all, that's why I pointed out with Saudi Arabia, who might be buying the club. Chop people up in embassies, yeah? They throw gay people off rooftops. Women have no rights, yeah? Like, speak dumb out of pram about that. But they won't. That's what annoyed me. I think you won't. You're all quick to hammer on me. All I'm doing is speaking out against that. And most of them, it's like, as I said, I challenge those three girls. Sit down and have a talk with me. I'm happy to do it. Video.
Well, I'll put you in touch and we'll see what they say.
Yeah, they won't.
They've been quick to go off on and do other podcasts, so it'll be interesting to see.
No platform for hate.
Yeah. John says, why does he believe English people are inherently better than other people?
I've never said that, because if I did believe that, I believe that I believe people are inherently better than my mother, who's Irish, and there's not one single person in the world that's better than my mother. Yeah? And it would believe that I believe. So I despise white supremacy. Yeah? Anyone that believes they're superior to someone else because of the colour of their skin, I've despised it for years. If you take the time to actually research my stance on things and the people who oppose me and hate me, you know that's where I stand. I'm despised by the far right. Yeah? I'm a race traitor, I'm a Zionist, I love multiculturalism, I'm one of these people. But tell them to get past the headline. I've never said English people. Now what? I believe you've won the lottery in life if you're born in England and you're English, because I believe it's the best country in the world. And I love being English, but never said that makes me better than anyone else. Our culture is superior to the Middle Eastern culture. Just is.
Spenny says, does he regret anything he's done in his past at protests and stuff like that? Do you regret anything?
No, because even if I've done wrong, I don't regret it in the sense that I think you learn from it. Look, I've made mistakes, man, many times over the years. Many times. I've had times in those years. I've looked back at some demonstrations and think, Jesus, I was off my tits. I was steaming. I had no sleep. I've tried to. I remember I've dealt with a lot of pressure and a lot of stress at times as well. Sometimes I haven't dealt with that great.
You've still got more hair than me.
Yeah, I know. Got good head of hair, haven't I? And good teeth, which pisses everyone off as well. So
Yeah,
they're all like, ask him how much his gnashers cost. Mate, I lost him in jail. So you go to jail, you get your teeth knocked out for talking about Islam, you might get a new pair and all.
After his legal battle, will he become more focused on Islam and immigration like before, says Jacob?
When I finish this legal battle in this case, I have a documentary which I've already got the footage for, and trust me, it's powerful, yeah? And my exciting bit for me is I'm going to stick it on all these gangs. I know where they are, I know their businesses, we've had cameras on them. I want to make them famous. And I know that by doing that, there's going to be a hell of a backlash. Mm-hmm. For example, people wanting to sue me, I've got them queuing up to sue me. Good luck, I ain't got anything. Yeah? You can sue me, I don't care anymore. Right? The biggest mistake for you was making me file bankruptcy for losing everything, because nothing matters now. So I'll go out, I've been offered a job already, I'll have my job, company are going to support me to travel and do my work. That's what I'll be doing. And essentially, do you know what, the last 12 months, I haven't done much at all because I was in a bad place. I had a bad year.
Okay, last couple of questions. Chris says the people affecting this country the most are the people in power. He says from cronyism, hypocrisy of the highest level and garbage decision making. What are your thoughts on this? And what do you think can be done to prevent these things happening going forward?
I despise them all. I despise all the whole political elite. They're the same. You saw that when we had Brexit, and you'd have Liberal Democrats then becoming Tories, or Tories becoming Liberal Democrats. It's like, what? You just jump party like that. You go from a Conservative Tory to a Liberal, like overnight. All of them were doing it. Labour were doing it. They're all just doing it. I despise them, and they are the biggest criminals going. And I think that, look, they all hate me. Don't they all hate anyone. Do you know what? It's not just me. It's like, if you can galvanise people and you can bring people together, even if it was animal rights activists, if it's anyone, you're a target. We don't have free speech at all. I think that it's terrifying what happened in the United States with the election. Biden can't string a sentence together, and he's in control of America, of course. Anyone knows he's not. So who's pulling the strings? We now know corporations are in control, not democracy. Corporations. But now with the vaccine, I didn't vote for Tony Blair to start. I don't think anyone voted for Tony Blair to start making decisions on vaccine passports.
Well, when you've been Prime Minister, you move on to something else, don't you? You end up in Europe, or you do this, or you do that. You become an ambassador for something, and it's a never-ending thing. It's a never-ending money train for those.
Money train, and they're all, yeah. The only thing I take a bit of, the vaccine. Like, I think, we're meant to get the vaccine, and you meant the vaccine all the most vulnerable, which you've now done. So they were the most vulnerable. More people died falling down the stairs, under 60s, died falling down the stairs than have died of COVID. Yeah, we don't tell everyone to sleep downstairs because they're worried about falling down the stairs. Yeah, we just deal with it. So if we've vaccinated all these people now, the most vulnerable, what's going on? Why are you telling us we're going to be wearing masks for years? Why are we all still social distancing? Why? If it doesn't kill us, it certainly don't kill our kids. Yeah? So why are you making kids wear? Why are you separating? I watch my son do this. He's still in a bubble of 30 with none of his friends. Yeah? So he goes to school, he's not happy. Right? Because he needs the social thing for school, for his friends, yeah? And he's not allowed to see his friends. And then they get screamed at if they try and talk to their friends. And then they're getting shouted at if they're not wearing a mask. My kid ain't wearing a mask anyway. But many of the kids are getting screamed at for not wearing a mask. I look at this whole thing just thinking, how are the British public even tolerating this? How has this even been allowed to happen? How is anyone, when we look at the science of it, it's like, no one's dying. No. Look at the figures, yeah? There's no justification for you destroying the livelihoods of millions, for you destroying the mental health of millions, for the cancer sufferers, for all of these things. Where is the logic in it? Vaccines. And then I see that my mate messaged me the other day saying, I can get you the vaccine. So other people can get you the vaccine passports. So now there's fraudulent vaccine passports already on the market, which I'm quite happy about, because I just think it's nonsense. You see the people die. I think it's a 1% chance of a negative impact from the vaccine. It's only a 1% chance of dying from COVID, and that's for the elders.
Police bills getting pushed through. I mean, this is my question really. What's your views on that?
My views on that is I would have loved to, for the last 12 months, really rally against COVID and the abuse of what we've seen with the legislations, with the powers they've given themselves, with the laws. I didn't want to associate the anti-COVID marches as far right, which is what would automatically happen to them. Yeah? But it's happened anyway. I started looking, I started Googling headlines, it's all saying they're far right. So it's like, it's happened anyway. So I would like to, and I probably will, I just need to get my court case out of the way, one thing at a time. But this ain't going to end. It ain't ending soon. Those powers they've taken, ain't giving them back. Your freedoms are disappearing, and you better believe it. Instead of all just screaming it, and they get the public working against the public, screaming at them. They've terrified so many people. My mum was one of the people. They terrified them.
Divide and conquer.
They've terrified them over the flu. So it's the flu. It's the flu. That's it. And do you know what? If I die from the flu, if I'm dying from the flu, because I've took risks and I've gone out, that's my risk. I pay taxes. So yeah, I don't know, mate. COVID and someone needs to lead a campaign of some mass style against this. And I've been waiting for someone else to do it, but they don't seem to be doing it.
Okay, the future. I mean, we've talked about the court case, we've talked about documentaries going to be made, new job, obviously, but family life is a bit of a nightmare for you. How does this all end? You know, you're 10 years younger than me, exactly, more or less. And, you know, you've lived a hell of a life in that time, but the one which has constantly had you looking over your shoulder, where does it end?
Yeah, I haven't had one. I've never not been on bail. I'm on bail now for criminal damage of a police car because I got sick in it. When I got nicked, when I got nicked for public order, COVID, they didn't nick me for criminal damage because I was sick in the back of the meat wagon where I was handcuffed for 45 minutes. They dropped the others and I got criminal. I've never not had a period where I haven't had the worry. And it is always on the worry of safety, security, court, prison. Prison's not normal for me. So it's a bit of a stress. But where does it end? I don't know, mate. We always had a saying with the English Defence League, it was death, prison or glory.
Yeah.
Doesn't change. Look, if I was wrong, I can sit and look at the effects it has, and I can feel sorry for myself, and then I could get wallow, which I was in that period up until a few months back. Or I could just keep fighting. That's all I know to do is to keep fighting to prove what I'm saying is true. The problems are only going to get worse. I'm going to be proven right. You watched on my James English podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
When was that?
Got to be two and a half years ago.
Didn't I say they're going to rip down statues?
You did.
Everything I've said and predicted, everything is like, look, whether it be the grooming scandals, all of these different things I've spoke about that are coming and that's going to happen. And I'm proven right. So as the years go on, the problem they've done at the minute is they've stopped people's ability to be able to hear what I'm saying. My Telegram, we're on Telegram, but when a new social media explodes, which it will, the minute Donald Trump sets up this social media, the whole world's going to go boom, and then we're back. We've all got a voice. And then when I've got that voice, we start then really getting back to work and really causing a headache for the establishment. Because the British public have been deceived, have been lied to. Whether it be COVID, whether it be Brexit, whether it be Islam, wherever it is. They don't want you to know the reality of the dire situation we're in.
Did some interviews with Charlie Salvador.
He's from Luton, mate.
AKA Charlie Brunson.
He's a Luton boy.
We did talk about you on one of those interviews about your time in prison because he'd seen you on the Ross Kemp documentary, and you know, he says, well, he never came out of his cell. That's what he said about you. But I mean,
I won't allow that myself. Let's get that out of the way.
That's what you had.
I didn't ask to be on. I've never asked, yeah. So I'll get that out of the way as well.
Was it a surprise to see Ross Kemp walking through the door?
So what Ross Kemp, when he come in, I said, we've met before, Ross. And he said, what? I said, we've met before. I said, we chased you off the estate about 10 years ago, 15 years ago in Farley Hill in Luton. Because he come up there canvassing as some celebrity for Labour without having a clue what it's like living in Luton under Labour.
Because he was involved with the girl from the News of the World, wasn't he?
Yeah. So when he come in, everyone was like, get the fuck out of here. And I said, do you remember that? I said, yeah, that was me, mate. When I was a kid. That was me and my mates when we were kids. Because we said, get out, come around here, tell us about Labour. Labour destroyed this estate, destroyed this town. And But he was nice. But then, so coming out, Charlie ain't been out of himself for 30 years, has he?
Well, he's made vast improvements in a short space.
As
of
I hope
time.
he gets out. It's so unfair that man is sat behind them.
On and off. And he had 80 days out of but the rest of the time, 46 years and about 30 odd years in solitary.
Well, look, I done a few months, yeah. Mate,
Yeah.
it is so unfair that man who's killed no one. You've got terrorists going in and out of jail, child rapists going in and out of jail. They go in, they come out. It's not right, and I don't think they'll ever want him out because he'll have a hero status amongst many, celebrity status. But unfortunately, if he come back to Luton, mate, he ain't going to recognise it. It ain't Luton he left. I don't think he know what to do there.
But your experience in prison.
My experience, so first times, the most recent ones, I went into Belmarsh and I went in and come out without seeing another prisoner. But that wasn't through my choice. Yeah? It's like when I went in, and the same with when I went into Onley. When
Is
I
that
did,
because of the people who are in there, to heavy Muslim
yeah,
population?
it's heavy. Well, why take me to Belmarsh? Yeah? Why move me from HMP Hull, where I was fine on the wing, yeah? And then they stuck me down to Onley, which has the biggest Muslim population in the country. And then say, we've got to put you on solitary confinement. Well, why? Why did you bring me here? Yeah? I went into Belmarsh for a contempt of court. That contempt of court charge is a civil matter. I was in for a civil crime, and they put me in Belmarsh, maximum security jail. Doesn't make sense.
Message for people watching this, both those who can't stand you and those who like you.
Get rid of Steve Bruce and get rid of Mike Ashley. And that's it. No, message is, look, just go past the headline. And I'm not claiming to be, I'm not the racist, hate-filled person you think I am. I just speak uncomfortable truths. Yeah? And sometimes there's got to be someone that takes the flak for those uncomfortable truths, because we have to be free to criticise Islam. We have to be free to criticise Black Lives Matter as an organisation. Unfortunately, people want to kill you and smash you when you do that. But and to my detractors, no amount of smearing is going to stop what I do. So you can carry on, but I'll be laughing at the end of this court case, trust me.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.